Hey guys, Archer for the Lord here. I took some time off. I had to get myself a little bit ready for my first semester of college, so that's why I haven't made a video here in a while. But I'm finally back to make my next video on chess tactics. This one's about discoveries. This one's going to be there's going to be more content in this one as far as different games that I show and trying to explain this tactic, because this is actually one of in my opinion, one of the more used tactics, one of the more common tactics, because there's so many different ways to do it. The discovery is kind of the opposite of a pin. In a pin we saw, one piece in front of another piece, and basically the piece in the middle can't move, otherwise, there's something that can capture something else on the other side. That wasn't that great of an explanation, but let me see if I can show you with this game. It's white to move here, and white has an excellent move that wins the exchange in bishop e7. Now, why does this win the exchange? Basically, black would be forced to give up the exchange by playing something like, bishop to b7. Because if he doesn't play bishop d7, and let's say he tries to save his rook by playing rook e8, now we have the pattern for a discovery. You'll notice if this bishop hadn't moved here, black would never be able to play rook e8 because this rook was already on the file. So now we have an unprotected piece here, and any move by this bishop is going to unleash the white rook on the black rook, threatening mate essentially. So black will have to respond to that. So all that's left for white is to find the most damaging square to move the bishop. And of course it's going to be bishop b4. After the rook captures, bishop captures the queen because the rook's not threatening anything. And then the rook moves back, and we can see that white now has queen for rook. And other than that, the material is the same. So here in this position, bishop e7 really just wins the exchange, because black would have to be forced to move this other bishop. Otherwise, there's not enough space in the back rank. So that's basically how a discovery goes. I'm going to show you another discovered attack that we see here. So in this example, we see there's already a chance for discovery here. This knight can go here and basically fork the queen and the rook. But why not just take a pawn? We can do that as well. So, we play knight takes e5. Now the queen is unguarded. Even though this was a fork, this was a little bit better because we're going to get to take this pawn here. So, of course, if the knight's captured like this, then queen takes queen, and it's horrible. So, instead we're going to see the queen capture on e4 because it was attacked. But instead of recapturing immediately, we look and see if we have a check. Knight takes d7. And even if the king tries to come over to attack this knight, knight b6 check. The king must move again. And our next move is going to be to recapture the queen here with the entire rook to the advantage. So, of course, here white's going to be winning. One place you might see this in an opening is if you play the Russian game, or the Petrov defense, I think it's called. e4, e5, knight f3, knight f6. Symmetrical variations for black are tend to be kind of drawish, but that doesn't mean that you can't that you don't have to be careful. So after knight takes e5, black really can't play knight takes e4, or he's going to lose at least a pawn after queen e2. So really the best move here would be just to stay symmetrical, and after queen e7, queen takes e4, something like f6, and you're only going to lose a pawn but wouldn't you rather not lose a pawn? You know, really, the correct move after knight takes e5 is just going to be d6, and then knight f3, and then you can safely take it, because if queen to e2, then queen to e7. Now, let's say for instance that in this position, black tries to save his knight by playing knight e4 to f6. Well, in this case, we have a discovery that wins the queen. And that's knight to c6 check. This is a discovered check. So, no matter what black does in the next move, the knight's going to capture the queen, pretty much leaving him in firm control of the game, and it's resignable at this point. So, definitely something to avoid. Another tactic that we see a lot of times with discoveries is called the windmill. In this position, you'll notice the black bishop and black rook both attacking g2. So after rook takes g2, king's move is forced. And of course now we see the discovery. Anytime this rook moves, king's in check. So he has to go back, set up discovery again, and you just keep on going like this. And that's the windmill, because you keep coming back and forth, you keep hitting them with the same tactic, and eventually you just clear this entire second row of pawns, and finally to finish it off, you come back here and you attack the piece that's now defenseless because you cleared all that off pawns. Rook c2 check, and after king g1, rook takes c3. Black is up a piece and 2 pawns, and it's just really terrible for white. So just try to keep that in mind. The windmill is very strong. Another thing you might notice is that the worst thing that you can do, even once you achieve the windmill, it secures you half a point, because even if you're totally behind the material, you can continue doing the windmill forever. The other side can never get out of it, so it secures you at least a draw. So definitely go for the windmill if you have the chance. It should work for you in any position. This position is pretty interesting. Black is up a pawn. Kind of have sort of an attack going here on the black king, but nothing too serious. But it becomes serious if black makes the following mistake and plays rook to h8. And this looks like a good move. We're putting the rook on basically a half open file with an undefended pawn at the end of it. But really this is just wishful thinking. White can play queen takes h5, and of course if the bishop just takes, then the queen takes back and you've lost a piece. But if we play bishop takes not bishop takes g5, if we play g takes h5, we're set up for basically the strongest type of discovery, and that's going to be a discovery where both pieces, both the piece that's being discovered and the piece that's moving to discover the other piece, check the king. This is so strong because knight takes e6. There's no way to capture this knight because the rook's still checking. And there's no way to block the check from the rook because the knight's still checking. So the only thing that a king can do when it's in double check is move to a safe square. There's no capturing, there's no interposing. You have to move to a safe square. And in this case, black doesn't have a safe square. The rook h8 move took away the last safe square. So knight takes e6 is actually checkmate. The game's over. Double check a lot of times is something that you have to set up, just like a discovery. In this position we see white is basically up a piece, really just cruising to victory. But with black to move here, it's actually going to be a mate on the white king. How is this possible? Well, we have to set up a discovery. Queen takes f1. Very forcing move. We only have one reply. The king must take f1. And then we have the pattern for a double check. Bishop d3 check. Now, we learned before that when you're in double check, there's no capturing, there's no interposing, there's no blocking. You have to move to a safe square. In this case, there's only two safe squares, king g1 or king e1. Either one is answered the same way. Rook f1, checkmate. We'll do one more example on double check. So in this position, you see we already have a discovery ready. So discovery on the white queen. So anywhere this rook moves, the queen is going to be attacked by our queen. Now, our queen's not protected. So many of you may be thinking, rook takes b2. It just wins a pawn, right? And that's true. It does win a pawn. But, oops, I gave it away. Black has a much better move. I was going to sit it and let you try to figure it out, but rook takes f3. All of a sudden, this bishop has a clear diagonal. And the queen's being attacked too. So, if black were to play e takes f3, then even after queen takes a4, bishop c8, bishop takes c8, black's ahead material and should win this game without too much trouble. But if white decides to take the rook, if white decides to take the queen, then it's mate in 1. You see it? Rook takes f1, double check, and mate. Again, both the bishop and the rook are attacking. So the king must move to a safe square, and that safe square simply does not exist. So, double check and discoveries, or discoveries really, because a double check is basically a type of discovery. But discoveries are very strong in chess. Something you want to set up, be on the lookout for, and really, anytime you're in a pin and it's not, say on something like your king, you want to think of different ways that you can do a discovery to maybe get out of a pin. Discovery and pin, they're kind of inverses. So, just because you're pinned doesn't mean that you can't get out of it with a discovery. It's another tactic you always want to be on the lookout for. Hope you guys really enjoyed this. The next video I'm going to do is going to be on stalemating. So I hope you enjoyed this. You can subscribe or like the video, of course. I know everyone likes to do that. But thanks for your time, and have a great day.